Dang it. I've tried to record this video and somebody keeps calling in the middle of it. I'm just like, stop it. So anyways, welcome back to another video. It's Sarah here. So a lot of you guys had been posting underneath of my miscarriage videos where I had this crazy hCG thing happen. And so I wanted to give you an update of what I did, and it's kind of unconventional, but I also want to just kind of like let you know what was going on. And so if you're just finding this, by the way, I'm going to share with you a recap of what happened and then how it ended, and hopefully, you know, where I'm at now and kind of bring the whole thing together. All right. So going back to the beginning, I had a chemical pregnancy here in March or April, okay? And then I got pregnant relatively quickly afterwards. And then it was in June. And according to my pregnancy tracker app or my calendar, I should have been like 5 weeks and 4 days to 5 weeks and 6 days. So this was in June of 2020 this year. And I had just been feeling like off. And in fact, like I wasn't feeling any pregnancy symptoms. I mean, I was, but then they kind of stopped. And so that was like should have been a red flag for me. So anyways, I told my doctor I was having some cramping, I was having some spotting. And so they wanted to set me up with an ultrasound and an hCG draw. And so they drew my hCG. Mind you, I was nearly just shy of 6 weeks. And I think I was only at like 117 for my hCG. So super, super low, you guys. And when I had the ultrasound done, they saw a sac, but I ended up miscarrying like literally that day. And then I so, okay. So that happened. So then in my mind, I'm like, okay, it all came out, everything's good, I'm not bleeding anymore. And 3 weeks later, I wound up in the emergency department. And in the emergency department, the guy was like, well, is there any way that you could be pregnant again? And I was like, no, that's crazy. I was just, so they had done a pregnancy test in the emergency room. Like I was so sick after the miscarriage, you guys, like heart racing, things were happening. Like I felt like I was literally going to die. I've never felt like that in my life. It was horrible. I don't know what was going on in my body, but it was very, very bad. My blood sugar was all over the place. And so in the ER that night, the doctor took drew my hCG. They did a quantitative level because they were like, oh, your pregnancy test came back positive. I'm like, that's crazy. I had a miscarriage 3 weeks ago. And so they were like, you know, it was a few hours later, we found out that my hCG was at like 356. So the day I started to miscarry, it was like 117. And here my hCG had like tripled. So they weren't sure what was going on. They didn't know really what was happening in my body. They just didn't know. And so I had a repeat ultrasound done. And they continued to draw my hCG levels. And at one point, my hCG levels went up even more. And then they finally started to come down. However, so they didn't know if it was like, it wasn't, I don't think, a molar pregnancy. They didn't know if there was like some tissue left over in there that they just weren't seeing. They really had no idea. However, being very, more like naturally minded. Now, the decision that I made was right for me, okay? I'm not saying that this is the right decision for everyone, and I think that you should definitely do your own research, talk to your own doctor, but I do want to share with you what I did because some of you guys are going to think I'm totally crazy, but I want to share something with you. So throughout this whole process, right, and when I was learning about what can happen if your body retains tissue from a pregnancy, is your body almost acts like it's almost like a cancer, okay? And if you followed my journey at all, you know I'm very like naturally health-minded. I really they wanted to give me a shot, methotrexate, and I looked up the side effects of that, and some people have had it, and I'm not saying, you know, I want to be very careful. If you've had it, I don't want to say that you shouldn't have or nothing like that. Whatever, you know, you do you. But for me, I looked up side effects and I was like, no flipping way. It's basically a chemo drug. And I did not want that. And that was their only suggestion. And they were like, well, we can go in and do a D&C. And after one of my miscarriages, I just really did not, I felt like that is not the route that I wanted to go. So I'm like, okay, just give me a little bit of time. And so I went online and I started looking stuff up and I was like, okay. And somehow I landed on this website or something and I came across this book and it was called Curing Cancer with Carrots. I know. And it was about how this woman like had cancer and she heard about the property of carrots. There's a whole thing on it, okay? There's like this whole thing and all these testimonials and case studies and like literally everything. And I did not want to talk about this at the time because I was not sure if it was going to work. And I felt loco crazy for even saying it. Thankfully, my husband is super supportive. But I bought the book and I read it. I like read the whole thing in a couple of hours and I told my husband, I said, look, if my body is treating something in there as if it's like a cancerous foreign material, and I think your body can heal itself if you give it the right things, I said, I think I'm going to start juicing carrots. And he was like, okay. So, but you guys, I have a juicer, but I'm not talking like a few carrots. I'm talking like I was drinking the juice of 6 pounds of carrots a day for over 3 months. And the thing is that as soon as I started drinking the carrot juice, I felt like my energy was coming back. I felt like I was feeling better because I felt like shit. You guys, I felt terrible. And I did not want to go take this chemo drug. And so I'm like, okay, this has to work because the doctors were not figuring anything out. And I was like to the end of my rope. I'm like, I don't know what else to do. I've got to take things into my own hands. I feel like something is wrong. So within 2 weeks, my hCG levels, that's when they started to drop back down. And I was like, okay, I don't know. Because if you remember, I started down here at 117. 3 weeks later, I was at 379. A couple weeks later, I was up to here. And it's at this point up here where they were like, we're going to give you this chemo shot. And I was like, no. And that's when I started drinking carrot juice. As soon as I started drinking carrot juice, it went from like 6 something down to like 4, down to 2, down to 150, down to like 65. Okay. And it happened like really slowly after I started drinking the carrot juice. And then it eventually went down to 0. And whenever we traveled, whenever we went to visit somebody, I brought my juicer and my carrot juice with. So that's what I did the whole summer. So pretty much July. Yeah. So it was like July, August, and September. I was drinking carrot juice every single day. I don't think I missed a day. And that's it. So my levels went back down to normal. They didn't really say much about anything else. There was something though that they discovered. God, what the heck was it? On my ultrasound, I forgot what the heck it was. I was so mad. I was so mad that on one of the ultrasounds, they had discovered like a little mass in there that they didn't tell me about until later on. And they were like, oh, we didn't want to tell you because we didn't want to scare you. And I was like, what? Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was. So here, my hCG was increasing. They can't figure out why. They see a little mass. They're not sure what it is. They don't know if it's this or that. So instead of telling me that there's a mass in there, they just didn't tell me anything at all. So after I had started taking carrot juice was when I went back in to meet with this doctor who, and that's when he was like, oh, you don't have a mass anymore. And I was like, I didn't even know I had one in the first place. And he's like, yeah, we didn't want to tell you. And I'm like, what? That's not something that you just get to skip over because they weren't sure if they missed something or if it was like an error on their part. Like, oh, we didn't realize that you actually, were still pregnant, or we did something wrong. So that was like his whole thing, was he was worried that I was going to be mad or something. And I was just like, I'm just upset you didn't tell me. So that's it. Moral of the story, I still don't know what happened. I have no idea. I don't know if there was a piece. My theory is that there must have been some tiny piece of placenta or something that was still in there that was like secreting hCG. Okay, that is my absolute theory. I'm very grateful that I found the carrot juice, that I found a natural solution, because it could have developed into something else. It was like this whole like tropoblastic something. I forgot what they even called it, but that's kind of what they were concerned with it going to, that, which is essentially almost like a metastatic pregnancy cancer, essentially, where it starts in the uterus, it grows malignant, and then it spreads. And I was like, oh my gosh, but it wasn't that. I drank carrot juice, and all I can say is my hCG went back down to 0. I tracked it with those the little first signal tests from Walmart. And so I would just like take one every few days, like every 3 or 4 days, I would take it, and it would get lighter and lighter and lighter until it didn't show up anymore. And so then I knew, that I wasn't producing any more hCG. So that's it. I had no long-term lasting effects after that. I have no idea why it took me 4 months to go back down to 0. They had no ideas, but perfectly great now. I had an appointment afterwards. She said everything looked fine, everything looked normal, we were good to go, and we got the all clear when and if we chose to resume normal activities and things like that. So thank you guys so much for all of the thoughts and prayers. That was definitely, it's a difficult experience to go through a miscarriage, but then to have it like last for such a long time, it was just really tiring, and I was just like so ready to just be done, and just to kind of move on. And so I was really happy for that. And I'm happy for my health. And if you're curious about the book, Curing Cancer with Carrots, I will post it down below. Disclaimer, I'm not a medical doctor. You should absolutely consult your doctor. But honestly, you guys, I really, really do think that carrot juice probably, I don't even know. I'm just really grateful for it. So that's my update. There's my crazy update. I wasn't pregnant with twins, nothing like that. It was just a weird hCG thing. And yeah, so you'll have to stay tuned for more updates and stuff. So if you liked this video, thank you guys for supporting my channel. All of the thumbs up. If you subscribe to the channel, that helps too, because it helps other people find my content, and I definitely want to get that out there more. So I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day. If you have any questions, let me know. Pop them in the comments. I'm trying to check my comments like once a week. Otherwise, feel free to find me on Insta. Just send me a DM and be like, what the heck? Or, whatever. I love hearing from you guys. So thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video.